Good evening, race fans. Pirate here with Black Flag E-Racing TV, and we're back for Black Flag bullshit. We're at round 7 already. Can you believe it? Round 7. Who would have thought that 7 weeks ago we'd be here already? But we are. We're at Monza, back in the GR4s. We've got 9 this evening. Not a huge turnout, but it seems the GR3 portion is a lot more popular. So let's have a quick look at the current standings, and we will see where we are at. So, there we go. That is the current race standings. VR46 currently top of the tree, 67 points. He is now away for 2 weeks, but obviously he can drop these 2 rounds. As you know, you can drop one GR4, one GR3 from the roster. We're going to start, so I'm going to have to flick across pretty soon. Wiggy, 40 points. Arminis, 38. Kevin, 28. Avalon on 26. TJ, 24. Pascal's us, 21. Roller's 21, etc., etc. But anyway, we need to jump across because we're right at the end of qualifying, and I'm not quite ready to go. But there we go. A little bit of a rush on. So, without further ado, let's hit the track. So, very quickly, I think we're ready to go pretty much. Let's get it all switched on, see what is going in. Rolly's with the fastest lap at the moment. Timothy's also looking pretty quick out there in the GR Supra. There's TJ, he's in the Lambo, who's changed his car. Loving that livery on there. Very very subdued, but also very very cool. Mr. J, good to see you back racing with us again. He's recently joined us. He's in the GTR by the looks of things. Old man Jay, there he is. He's our glorious host for tonight. We've got no Avalon today. Hope everything's okay, buddy. We'll see you back racing very soon. What's the setup today? Setup is... and you think I'd remember things like this, wouldn't you? Very not prepared after a day watching my son streamed. For anyone that don't know, my son plays Rocket League, and he got to the grand final of a big tournament today and lost only to the current Commonwealth champions. So congratulations to him and the rest of his team. Anyways, GR4 at Monza, 60-minute endurance race. Random weather, starting late morning, times 5. BOP is on, obviously, as it would be. Tyre wear times 3. The soft and the hard is mandatory today. Fuel is times 4. They will start on 60 litres. Refuel rate is a modest 5 litres per second. Not super slow, but also not super quick either. It's Monza, so as you know, it is all about straight line speed today. Slipstream is real. The off-track grip is real. Shortcut penalties are strong. And we've made a few changes. We've decided to do away with stewards. And as such, we have decided to allow the game to decide penalties. So penalties is obviously on. Damage is on heavy. So if you crash your car and you fuck your car, it's on you to repair it. Same as if you crash into somebody else. You will also get a car collision penalty. Wall penalty is off because if you've hit a wall and it's your own fault, there's not much you can do about that. What else we've got? Flag rules on, obviously ghosting is off. But we are pretty much there or thereabouts ready to start. So Rolly's currently fastest man, 1:56.8. Really solid qualifying time that. Timotheus also looking pretty racy in that GR Supra. Old man Jay is rocking. What car's he rocking? I can't tell what car that is from behind. Still can't tell. There we go. We know Wiggy's in the that's the Corvette. We know that's the Corvette. TJ's in the Lambo. Arminis in that WRX. He loves that WRX. Pretty solid in that WRX too. Grizz Troopers rocking also the WRX. Timotheus, as we know, in the GR Supra. That's the Nissan GTR. Rolly's a good time in the GTR. But it's a really powerful car, that GTR. Audriox in the WRX. Wendigo, he is rocking the WRX as well. So quite a lot of the Lithuanian guys opted for this WRX. Quite popular among those guys. So the only man on track at the minute is Mr. J in that Nissan GTR. And I do like that black and green livery on there. We'll have a little flick through the liveries. We have got time to go through the rest of the table while we are waiting to start. So let's just flick it on here for all to see. Why not? There we go. There's a table there for all to see. We'll stick that up there so you can watch Mr. J go around the track. So there we go. So that's what we've got. So we got down to Paz Kozas. He's in 7th place at the moment. Joint 7th with him is Rollis. Drives a McLaren in the GR3. This is his first GR4 outing. Looking to stick some points on the board, move himself up that order. And here we go. We are ready to start. So let's, without further ado, let's get rid of these two and get on with the racing. Let's get rid of that as well. That'd be useful. Here we go. So good luck, everybody. Looking forward to this. I mean, that's going to have to happen. I'm going to have to stay on this till turn 1, and then it's going to trap me inside the car and not let me look from the outside. Let's go from there. Let's watch from Grizz at the back. Got to be wary into turn 1. We know what a bit of a carnage will be, and TJ has an absolute nightmare off the line, and he's looking to drop right back down the order. Really got bogged down getting that Lamborghini off the line. And how are we going to do into turn 1? Everyone going to be cautious. They know the damage is on. Everyone being very cautious. Little bit of a touch there. That's Audriox spinning a bit. Timosius slowing right down. Mr. J slowing right down. That allows the guys out in front to pull away. And let's quickly jump out and jump back in so we can get this view. Because this is the view we all want to see. We want to be able to see the cars in all their glory. And Rollis gets away very well in that GTR. And because of those cars behind getting bogged down, he's already nearly 2 seconds clear of Wendigo in second in the WRX. And loving the look at that. There's a little train there, 2 WRXs. Got Wendigo followed by Arminis. Arminis looking to make a move up into the Lesmos, and he makes that move stick into Lesmo 1, round into Lesmo 2. Can Wendigo make a comeback here? Wiggy on the back of that battle, looking to capitalise for any mistake here in these two. Just right on the back at the moment, that WRX, as we head into the second of these really, really long straights here at Monza. And there are 3 really long straights here, as you know. So it's all about exit speed out of the previous corner to maximise your speed on the straight. So it's Rollis from Arminis, from Wendigo, from Wiggy, just dropping in, just half a second behind, grabbing a bit of slipstream down this final straight. Audriox in 5th, also in that WRX. Looked like he was going to go wide, they just pulled that back. Mr. J in 6th place. He has got Timosius already crawling over the back of him. And we know that Timosius can be very, very quick. Thank you very much, Arminis. Good evening to you. Good luck, everyone. Mr. J I thought he was going to make a move back there, but he didn't. Timosius is through up into 6th place. There is TJ in that Lambo, bogged down off the line. He has a little bit of damage on the front there, but nothing that I think is going to affect performance. In 8th place, Grizz Troopers there in 9th place, already with Old Man J a second behind, just adrift of that pack at the moment. And he's in the Porsche Cayenne, actually, by the looks of things. Yeah, that is the Porsche Cayenne, which I think is a new car. I think it's one of the new cars. So anyway, Rollis really opening up that gap. 3.7, 3.8 seconds already, showing phenomenal pace here at Monza. How far away can he pull? Is he really going to push this car and go in early? Now, what, lap 2? I think we're looking at probably lap 5, 6, 7 as being our pit window. We've only got a couple of really big fuel savers out there today, with no Avalon to show us how it can be done. But Wiggy, we know, likes to save fuel. But Wiggy making a move up into 3rd. He does. He makes the move up into 3rd, past Wendigo. Makes that move stick as well into the Lesmos. So it looks to me that this is where the overtaking can be done. Is Wendigo close enough to grab some slipstream and maybe catch him on the straight? Doesn't look like he is. He's actually being dropped. So Wiggy with a much better exit there in that, what is essentially American muscle. Up into 3rd place now. Audriox currently running 5th. Can see the battle ahead. But that battle ahead is starting to pull away. And we've got Audriox with Timosius 1.2 seconds behind. And then 1.2 back to Tiju, who has started to show some pace after after getting bogged down in that Lambo. Not sure Lambo, I mean, I love what he's done with that car. It's bloody gorgeous. But not sure it's the right car for here, but we'll see how he fares. Grizz Troopers 3.3 back from that battle. With Mr. J for company. Mr. J crawling all over the back of that American flagged WRX. Homage to his homeland, of course. Has Mr. J got anything to offer to get past Grizz Troopers here? He's certainly not out of the Parabolica, which I've said this before and I'll say again, is one of the single greatest greatest turns in the history of motorsport for me. I absolutely love it. It's one of those turns that if you get it wrong, you get it horribly wrong, and it fucks your entire lap. But you get it right, and it can make your entire lap. Old Man J 1.6 behind, but sticking with that battle of the back markers. But Ronnie's out in front at the moment, absolutely massively dominant. 4.6 clear, and Arminis with a 2.5 second penalty. That is going to put him firmly into the reach of Wiggy when he comes to serve that. And it's going to give a massive advantage to Rollins out in front. He's got a little bit of damage to the rear. I imagine that would have happened when we had that little bog down in turn 1. But everyone else looking pretty, or a bit of damage to the rear of Wiggy as well. And to that rear axle, is that going to be a problem? Here we go. So Arminis has got that 2.5 second penalty to serve. We already see Rollins pulling away. And he doesn't seem to be going too hard on the fuel. All the tyres seems to be holding them quite well. Everyone, for me, I think everyone, Wendigo, now he's going to be the man to watch. He started on the mandatory hard tyres, which means he doesn't have to use them again. So he's getting those out of the way early, and he's showing good pace on them too. He's sticking with that battle out front for the top 3. He's only 2.4 seconds or 1.5. My God, that is an amazing. Well, I don't know what happened there, but Arminis, of course, Arminis served his penalty. Of course he did, forgive me. So Wiggy through, Wendigo through. So actually that penalty of 2.5 seconds, incredibly costly, somewhere nearer 5 seconds that's cost him. And we see Wendigo going in very, very early. Odd choice, I think. I thought he was running really well on those hard tyres, and I would have stayed out and run those hard tyres right to the end of the first stint. So very odd decision to go in that early, and I think that might cost him a good position here. He was running well, his pace was good, he wasn't getting caught, he should have stayed out for me. That is a tactical error. So Rollins, there he is, out in the lead. He's now 8.1 clear of Wiggy. Wiggy now just opening up that gap from Arminis to 3 seconds, giving himself a little bit of comfort. But we know what we're going to call it now, because Wiggy is in the Lithuanian sandwich. He's got Rollins one side, he's got Arminis the other. In fact, it's quite a hefty sandwich, because we've got Rollins, we've got Wiggy from Wales, and we've got Arminis, Timosius, Orgiox. That's a lot of Lithuanian bread right there, and they're all chasing down Wiggy in second. TJ up to 6th place. Just 3 tenths behind Orgiox, really putting some pressure on the back of that WRX. So starting to dial up Lambo in. 59.1 has been his fastest lap. Well, that's still a second, over a second slower than Rollins out in front. And he's got a little bit of damage on the front as well. Grizz Trooper's starting to drop back from that 4.6 seconds. He's still ahead of Mr. J, but he's still waiting for company. Old Man J has dropped well off the pace. 4.1 seconds back. Is he saving a bit of fuel? He certainly looks like he is. He's certainly got a lot more fuel on board than the other. So it looks to me like Old Man J is playing the long game, as we see Mr. J taking a lot of dust with him there. So Old Man J playing the long game, looking to stretch out the first stint a little bit longer. Wendigo, inexplicably for me, jumped into pit very, very early. Much earlier than I think was necessary. That he's 19 seconds back, and I know everyone in front of him has still got a pit, but he was up amongst the top 3, top 4. He's well off that pace. He's 43 seconds off Rollins. That's more than a pit stop, so I don't think it's going to be any advantage to him, but we'll see as the pit stops start. So there we go. So we're on lap 5 now. Tyres starting to look a little bit ropey for Rollins. I think we can extend this first pit window to somewhere around lap 7, 8, 9. Certainly looks to me that everyone's settling into a bit of a rhythm here. Rollins knows he's got 8 seconds. He can drop back off the pace a little bit. Although he's been very consistent. 58.0, 58.6, 58.8 as we're on lap 5 now. We're just coming up to 10 minutes into the race. This will be a 60-minute endurance race. So they've got to play the long game here. There is Wiggy. Benefited from that penalty Arminis had. He's just over 8 seconds back from Rollins, showing very good pace. A little bit of damage to the rear of his car there, but nothing that seems to be affecting performance. But he is lapping about half a second a lap slower at the moment than Rollis, which I'm hoping that is more to do with fuel saving pace than it is just out and out pace. But we'll soon see when it comes to round 1 of the pit stops. And I don't think we're going to see Wiggy coming into anywhere near the end of lap 10, to be honest. Seems to be fuel saving very well there. Maybe lap 9. Let's say lap 9. I think lap 10's a bit ambitious. Arminis in that WRX, comfortably in 3rd at the moment. He has got Tomosis. Tomosis is showing some pace, actually. He's moved way up the order. 8th, 7th, 6th, 5th, now in 4th place. With TJ for company just behind him in 5th. So he's starting to dial in some pace in that Lambo. There is Audriox. Tyres not looking great on the WRX, and we know the WRX isn't very kind on the front tyres. Really does give you some trouble, especially on the soft tyres. It loves to chew through those. He's 2.4 back from that battle, comfortably midfield at the moment. Hasn't got anything really to worry about from Grizz Troopers. Grizz Troopers sitting back in 7th place, and he's pulling out a bit of a gap now on Mr. J. There is Mr. J there, in that sweet spot, and I call it the sweet spot of no man's land because you've got exactly the same distance in front of you and behind. So you've got a very good judge of pace. That if you can keep the gaps the same, you know that you are as fast as the guy behind you, and therefore keeping him at bay, or faster than as fast as the guy in front of you, and if you can up the pace. But you see, old man Jay dropped off the pace a little bit there, and he's dropping out to 202, 203s. So not getting the performance out of that Porsche Cayenne. And Wendigo, there he is, 11 seconds back, having a lot of work to do just to get back into the top, away from the back of the pack. I said it before, I'm going to say it again. I think pitting when he did was a mistake. I think he went in far too early. And those tyres, I know people don't like running the hard tyres, they haven't got the grip you want. But he was getting good pace out of them, and he was sitting in a good track position. If he was sitting plumb last on those tyres and not getting any pace, I can understand his move. But he was top 4. And for me, you hang it out there as long as you can when you've got track position like that and you've got the pace. You hang that car out there as long as you can. So Rollis almost opened the gap up now to 9 seconds, but those tyres are absolutely screaming. He's going one more lap. Has he got enough in the locker to keep that car on the track? Just lubricating there. 9 seconds clear. Very angry front left. Look at the state of that. That was a beautiful shot, him disappearing up the Curva Grande. He has got very little fuel. He's going to pit end of lap 7. So I said, pit window opening, lap 7. Wiggy, not quite so bad on the tyres, holding them out a little bit more. He's got a little bit more fuel. I think we're going to see a couple more laps out of him, lap 9, before we see him come in. What sort of inroads can he make into that 9-second gap? Is the overcut strong here? We will see. Gap to Arminis not changed, still 3 seconds. He is having the same problem, that WRX problem of carving up that front right, that front left tyre in particular. Doesn't really do much damage to the back, and it's a shame that we can't have brake balance on without putting tuning on, because this is where brake balance is really, really key, because you can manage your brake balance throughout the track and give those front tyres a bit of protection and maybe hang your car out there a little bit longer. And we see TJ just putting a move there in the distance on Tomosius up into 4th place. Tomosius though still hanging on the back of that Lambo. That Lambo showing excellent straight line speed as they go into the final quick sector of Monza. So come out of that straight into this last straight, keep it on the road, don't get a penalty cutting that corner. Tomosius still tucked in behind, getting a bit of slipstream. He's closing. Is he closing enough to have the bravery to break into Parabolica and make a move there? Not with those tyres. You would be a brave man to risk a late braking exercise into Parabolica with tyres that ropey. So we see Rollis jumps into the pits. He is followed by Arminis. Wiggy stays out. TJ also jumps in. Samosius stays out. He's got another lap in him. He's going to use it. He takes 2nd place for the time being. Audriox also jumps in. What do you see? Grizz Troopers, he's going to pull off in onto the right. He goes into the pits. Mr. J, what's he going to do? He's coming in as well. So here we go. Wendigo's up to 9th place now. He will go through. We will see just how well this strategy, pitting early, works out for him, and whether I am forced to eat my words. So he's through. He's up into 8th place. He's up into 4th place. So actually, pitting early has regained him 4th place. But everybody else will pit much later. He's got to pit much earlier than everyone. So we are, what, 15 minutes in? We are on lap 8 of this race. So we are looking at a 32 lap race today around Monza. Long way to go. But so far, Wendigo's made me eat my words. He's back to 4th after everyone ahead of his pits. TJ up to 5th place, 4.1 seconds behind Wendigo. Has Old Man J pulled in? He has indeed pulled into the pits. Mr. J, he's also pit. So everybody on the racetrack, bar Wiggy and Timosius, have pits so far. And the pits were all on lap 7. Wiggy, I don't think Wiggy's going to hold it out to lap 9. I think it looks to me like he's up the pace. He's coming in lap 8. He's going to replace those angry tyres. But no one's got tyres angrier than Timosius right now. Those are looking disgusting. You're not going to get your deposit back on those, my friend. Those tyres are well and truly done. And they're not even going to be melted down and used for protection. They are going straight into the MMA gym for some big buff, steroided weirdo to punch. And we'll see. So there we go. Wiggy pulling in. Timosius pulling in. Let's have a look, see what tyres everybody's come out on. Rollers, it's come out on the mandatory hards. Wendigo, we know, went on to the softs. He's already run those mandatory hards. He is very close to the back of Rollers. Are these two going to take 1-2? Has Wendigo pulled a master stroke and made me look like an absolute tit for calling him out? It certainly looks like they're going to be pretty damn close. TJ, he's come out back on the softs. Harmonist on those hard tyres, as is Audriox. Mr. J on the softs, looking to make a little bit of a charge up through the field before he puts on those mandatory hards. Grizz Troopers has gone for the hards. Little bit of damage on that front left already. Has he clipped a wall? Bit of a spin that almost lost the back end in that WRX. But we know it's very good at holding its back end. The WRX is. Old Man J 9.7 seconds back on those hard tyres now. Didn't hang the car out as long as I thought he was going to. But loving the livery on your car, mate, and loving the fact you're advertising this great bastion of motorsport TV, which is Black Flag E-Racing. I think I'm a little bit ahead of myself. 16 viewers on board. That is absolutely fantastic. Thanks for joining us this evening. And I hope the racing is up to standard for you all. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so. You'll get notifications of all the videos. And I will soon be adding some exclusive subscriber-only content to the channel. So if you want to get access to that, you need to click that subscribe button and like the video if you like what you see. But there we go. So Wendigo up into the lead of this race. So Wendigo has made me look like an absolute tit. His tactics have been spot on. He pulled out the master stroke of undercuts. But that said, look at his tyres. He's gone racy, and we know the WRX rips the living hell out of your tyres, particularly your front left here. And we already see that damage. Wiggy is on fresh tyres, the freshest they can be, and he's on the hards, so he can stay out a while. He hasn't put a huge amount of fuel on, to be fair, but I think that's more for running for a little while on the hards and getting rid as soon as possible. Is anyone going to run those mediums, which do give you a few more laps than the softs do, but certainly not as many as the hards? TJ, after getting bogged down on lap 1, finds himself in 3rd place, but he's opted for the racing soft tyres, which means he's going to be jumping back in the pits a little bit sooner than most, probably around lap 14, lap 13 or 14, when he will probably be looking to put on the hard tyres then. But is he going to make a move past Wiggy into 2nd place? That Lambo showing exceptional pace here around Monza. Italian car, Italian track, you would expect it to give you some level of performance at home. Right up behind Wiggy as they go into the Curva Grande. Little bit of a wobble trying to get the power back on. Not able to close the gap too much, but he is in that slipstream, getting pulled along, getting closer around the Curva Grande into this 2nd chicane. Is he brave enough to try and chuck one down the inside here? I think he'd have to be incredibly brave or incredibly stupid to do it at this stage of the race. And Wiggy has a little slide, back end wiggling out from underneath him. Just as his name says, Wiggy is his name, and Wiggy went the back of that car, and TJ up into second place, and already opening up a gap now, and up the road after Wendigo. Wendigo currently 3 seconds clear, but he's going to have to pit shortly, and I think he's going to have to pit somewhere around lap 11, maybe lap 12. It depends how brave he feels with those tyres. Rollis, the early leader, had an 8-second lead at one stage, now finds himself after a couple of really poor laps, a 2:10, 2:30 and a 2:03, finds himself back in 4th place, just behind Wiggy. A lot of fuel on board, and he's got those racing hards on, so he is going to keep that car. And we see a spin. There is a spin from TJ. All that hard work to get into second place. His tyres are fine, his fuel is fine, his car wasn't damaged, so that was purely driver error. So it's all well and good having a really big flash posh looking nice motor like that, but if you can't drive it, it counts for absolutely nothing. So TJ's hard work up into second place, all gone. Down into 4th as he comes into the Parabolica. Wiggy promoted back into second place. Consistency for Wiggy and Rollis, that's the key here. As we start to see the light fading, and the lights are on the car as we start to drive into dusk. So Wendigo, that gap's open to 5.3 seconds. Wiggy just holding off from Rollis at the moment, just 1 second in it. And this for me is an absolutely beautiful shot. There goes Wiggy, there goes Rollis, and up down the road into the Curva Grande, and TJ starts to join the party. I'm going to keep it here as much as I can. There is Arminis going through and up down the road, and Timosius coming through, and next we'll see 8 seconds back. Here is Mr. J coming down into the chicane, and we'll see him disappearing off up the road. We do the same with Grizz Troopers, but he is 17. So just starting lap 11 now, 17 seconds back. 37 though, ahead of Audriox. So Audriox, has he picked for a second time onto the medium tyres? He must have done either that, or he's had an absolute, well, if you look at that time there, he's had a big spin. And if you look at it, he's got a bit of damage on the front of his car, so he has had a big spin somewhere on lap 9. And he is way back in 9th place, 38 seconds, a pit stop behind Grizz Troopers right now. Old Man J, 19 seconds back. He has, was he also pit again? I think he's ditched those hard tyres already, and he is on the racing mediums. So have Audriox and Old Man J done the old 1 lap on the hards, get back in and fuck them off because they're shit? That could be what they've done. Although the damage would suggest otherwise with Audriox, that suggests he's had a little love tap, maybe with a wall or otherwise. Old Man J in 10th place, 18 seconds back from the pack, and actually, if he looks behind, Old Man J can see. Let's see if we can have a look behind the car. Well, I don't think we'll see it for a while, but Wendigo is on his way. There is Wendigo. He is just coming up to that chicane. He's starting lap 12. Wiggy is 7 seconds back. Old Man J just starting lap 11. So we're going to see some overtaking here with the back markers happening just before the midpoint of the race. That's if Wendigo lost. Look at the state of that front left tyre. That time is going to start tumbling. It's going to be very difficult in these high-speed corners, particularly in the 2 Lesbos. That's going to be very difficult keeping that car on the road with the keeping grip there on the outside left tyre there. So Wiggy already started to close the gap. He's got Rollis just in behind him as he picks up a penalty in that second chicane. That is a devastating 2-second penalty. That's going to cost a lot of time, that 2 seconds. We said 2.5 cost you about 5, so 2 seconds is going to cost you about 4.5 seconds. The penalty spots in these places are in horrible positions. I do hope that they change the penalty system back to one where they trust you to serve it yourself. That is much better system. So Rollis, he just needs to be patient. That place will be his soon. TJ just started to close back up after that devastating spin on lap 11, which cost him second place. He's closing now in on the back of Rollis. Rollis will go through on Wiggy. We see Wiggy coming up to that penalty line. He serves that penalty, and here we go. Rollins is going to come through. TJ, he's also going to come through. They've just got the measure of pace down here into the Parabolica. Arminus not quite close enough to capitalise, but the gap will close. So they're into the Parabolica. Arminus just coming in to follow them through. Timosius now 11 seconds back, and he's got Mr. J crawling all over the back of that GR Supra. Absolutely crawling all over him like a really disgusting rash on a disgusting tramp. And he does hold off from Mr. J. Mr. J trying to hang that GTR around the outside and holding it very well. Just nicking that around the outside of the Parabolica is an absolute move and a half. That deserves a replay. And they both move up the order as Wendigo is in the pits. But Timosius tucks in behind, grabs that slipstream from the back of Mr. J. And will he look to make a move into this first chicane? Or is he going to play the sensible approach? He is playing that sensible approach, tucking in behind, getting a better exit out into Curva Grande, and maybe there's an opportunity there. But I've got to say, what an overtake from Mr. J. Hanging it out around the outside, round Parabolica, having the bravery to keep his foot in and stick it. That's a great move. And that moves him up into a deserved 5th place. So out in front now, we have TJ. TJ has got his way around Rollins. Missed an overtake there, watching Mr. J pull off the Parabolica special. So there is TJ back up into one of the leading positions. Can he keep his car on the road, or will the pressure get to him again and he'll spin that Lambo? At the moment, looking comfortable though. 1.7 clear. He's got probably... He may pit this lap. He may hang it out for another. Depends how brave he's feeling fuel save wise. But I said lap 13. Well, I said lap 14 actually. Pit window. Obviously that doesn't count for Wendigo. Wendigo is the anomaly that pits early. So at the moment we're doing okay. Now Timosius, if you remember Timosius' first race with us, he pit 6 times in a 3-stop race. Changed his strategy this time, and he's hanging that car out there much better. But not showing the pace, funnily enough, he showed in that race. But we'll see how that works out for him. But there is Rollins in second, TJ in first, and Rollins will hang it out longer than TJ. TJ is staying out this lap, but he's going to have to come in at the end of lap 14. Bang on where I called the pit window. I must be good at this stuff. There is Rollins. Also lap 14, he's got Wiggy over the back of him. Wiggy looking for an opportunity. Rollins at the moment on the hard tyres, half a tank of fuel. Wiggy also on those hard tyres, much less fuel. He's going to have to stop sooner. He's going to be stopping somewhere around lap 16, maybe lap 17. Rollins, I think, will hang this out till 18, maybe 19 if he's feeling really brave. There's Arminus there. He will also go through when Wiggy goes into the pits. All these guys put a little bit more fuel on board before at their last pit stop. But they're hanging the car out there longer. The WRX a lot kinder on the hard tyres than it is on the softs or the mediums. Mr. J, after that overtake on Timosius, absolutely chucking it up the road. But those tyres are not long for this world. And Timosius on the hard tyres will not have to worry, because soon he will regain that position without question. So actually, while it was a great overtake on the Parabolica, it was purely a case of one's got soft tyres, one's got hard tyres, and those soft tyres on Mr. J are not long for this world. They will soon be melted down and gone. Wendigo, there he is. He is the great early pit stop master. Went in very early, and I called it as a bad move. It did eventually see him out in the lead of this race, but again, he's pit early. He's relying on the people in front of him to pit and have slow pit stops. But it could actually prove, and I'm going to say this now, I called it as a really bad move. I'm saying now I still don't think it was wise. I think he's going to put himself in a position where he's going to have to pit late on and others are not. But it maybe wasn't as bad a decision as I initially said. And his pace is very good, to be fair, which could was certainly better than the cars in and around him. Timosius not getting any kind of level of performance that we've seen from him previously out of this GR Supra. And Grizz Troopers, again, the low 203 or 203, anywhere between 203 and 206 seems to be his consistent race pace. He has pit again now. He's on those medium tyres. Audriox, he's on the mediums also. Off the track there, cutting the grass. One side, cutting the grass the other. That's not the way you want to be coming out of the Lesmos. You want to be coming out of those at speed with good grip. Old Man J, 14 seconds back still. Can he capitalise on the fact that Audriox, well, he certainly can, because Audriox will pit before him. He's got much less fuel. Jay's working on his fuel saving and looking to make the fuel saving count for him at the back of the pack. If you can't beat them on speed, then beat them on strategy. That's what I say. Keep the car on the road and beat them on strategy, and let the guys in front of you crash. That's what you want to do. That's my ploy. I know I'm not quick, so what I do is I try and keep the car on the road and let people in front of me crash. If they can do that, I can nick a couple of places, and I managed to do that yesterday. And you'll see that when I put up the scores for the McGann Trophy yesterday. Finished just outside the top 3 twice. Go me. Woohoo. Wiggy in the lead, 1.1 seconds clear. Hung this car out longer than I thought he would. He will come in. We'll see him pull over to the right hand side as he comes out of the Parabolica. Rollers will go through and take the lead of this race again. He hasn't led this race actually since the first pit stop window, but looking to certainly get an opportunity here. Oh, did you miss out, Mr. You should have joined us, man. 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Every single night, that's when we race, buddy. It would have been nice to have it out. There was certainly space there. But you can sit back and enjoy the entertainment instead. How about that? So there we go. Rolles retakes the lead of this race. It took a whole pit window for him to get back into the lead. But there he is, back in the lead of this race. 1.4 seconds up from Arminis. Arminis, who's got 2 or 3 laps left in him. He'll be pitting lap 18, maybe lap 19 if he's brave on the fuel. Rolles, he's going to hang out there. We won't see him anywhere near the pits until lap 20, 21, maybe even 22 if he's feeling generous. Or feeling not generous, shall I say. But everyone driving very clean, doing a very good job at the moment. There was a little bit of touchy into the first chicane on from the start, but nothing too Pope-like. It was touchy, but not, good touchy, not Catholic priest touchy. Timosius up into 3rd place. We saw a great overtake on him from Mr. J early on, but Mr. J's had to go into the pits. That promotes Timosius into 3rd. So actually the pace is starting to show now. So Rolles steady in, the pace has dropped right off. We were looking at 157s, 158s, and TJ actually has the fastest lap with a 157.9. That pace now dropped off across the board really to over 2 minutes. Apart from, look at this, Armin is showing some great consistent pace just under that 2 minute mark. As he heads into the Parabolica, he is closing that gap on Rolles. And what's Rolles going to do? Is Rolles going to put a hammer down, or is he going to stick to his strategy? Armin is at the moment 18 seconds clear of Timosius in 3rd place. So the battle actually isn't for 1, 2, 3. The battle at the moment is for 3, 4, 5. As we see Wendigo, he has the early pitter. He is very much out of sync with everybody else in terms of pit stops. So very difficult to tell actually. But his pace is good, but I think it's difficult to tell at the moment where he slots in. We've just passed the halfway point. And what did I say? I said a 32 lap race. Yeah, maybe 31, 32. I think where the pace has dropped off, I think we're looking at 30, maybe 31. So TJ doing really well. Started badly. Absolutely awful start. Bogged down off the line. Couldn't get that Lambo started. But has shown some great pace now. Currently has the fastest lap. And running very well in 5th place. Crawling all over the back of Wendigo as they come round the Curva Grande, looking into the two Lesmos. Is there going to be an opportunity into Lesmo 1? Certainly is a good overtaking spot. Seen a few overtakes there already. 2 really good overtakes actually in Lesmo 1. Great overtake from Mr. J in the Parabolica. But every other overtake has really been from an error or through pit stops at the moment. Wiggy has gone back in, got rid of those hard tyres that he's run, back out on the softs, He's going for this is going to be a 3-stop race. I think for pretty much everyone, maybe 4 stops if you don't like putting lots of fuel on board. Wiggy currently 9 seconds off. Has at one stage been leading this race. We have had 4 or 5 different leaders so far in this race. The top 3 has been occupied by pretty much, what we had, so 5, 6 people have occupied those top 3 spots. But looking down the order, so Arminis pulls into the pits from second. Timosius will take second place from him. And Wendigo and TJ making a move into the Parabolica up the inside on Wendigo hanging it around the outside, can't hold on. Mr. J showed him how it was done around the outside, but Wendigo just couldn't do it. But they are drag racing to the line. It is Lamborghini versus WRX, and they are matching each other pace for pace. Wendigo retakes third. Will TJ now retake third? As they drag race into turn 1, TJ has inside line. He decides against it, just drops in behind Wendigo, happy to sit there in 4th for the time being. Do a bit of fuel saving behind him. Wendigo's on the soft tyres, but those tyres are a lot angrier than those of TJ. TJ won't know that, but he will have an opportunity soon to gain that place without doing any work. So Wiggy on the back of that battle now, 8 seconds back. Arminis in 6th place in the WRX, 3 seconds behind. There we have Mr. J, he's 14 seconds off that battle. Did show some early good pace. That pace has dropped right off now. His pace of 58s, mid to high 58s, really dropped off now. Is he going to close that 14-second gap on Arminis? Well, at the pace Arminis is doing, I don't think he'll close it that quickly. But Mr. J has a lot more fuel on board, or a lot of fuel on board, can go long, but he's on the softs, so he's got to worry about how those softs last throughout this race. Grizz Troopers, there he is in 8th place, 33 seconds, almost a pit stop behind Mr. J at the moment, but comfortably ahead of Aldriox. Now, we're used to seeing Aldriox a little bit further up the field, not getting the performance out of that WRX that we used to seeing more from him, and those medium tyres not looking too comfortable at the moment. We'll see him pit somewhere around lap 20. Grizz Troopers, he'll stay out again. He won't come in now. He'll do his final stop somewhere later on in the line. So it's going to be a combination of 3 and 4 stops. 4 stops here. I think the 3-stopper is probably the quickest. Obviously that depends on your race pace, of course. Old Man J, there he is in 10th place, and it looks like he's about to be lapped by Rollers. We thought it was going to happen sooner, but the pit stops made sure that didn't happen. So Rollers on lap 19, Old Man J on lap 18. Best place to overtake here. I think Rollers might just have to hang in behind just while they go through this section. You know, Old Man J is racing himself. He's under no obligation to compromise his own race here. So I think they go through the Lesmos, and I think Old Man J can then pull off the racing line and allow Rollers to go through. But actually Rollers is through before then. Old Man J does a good thing there and actually lets him through a bit sooner. Under no obligation to do it there. He could have waited, but certainly did let him through. But there he is, Rollers, our current leader, and that gap is 21 seconds. And we say 21 seconds, but he's going into the pits this lap. He hasn't got enough fuel to go again, so he'll be getting out of those hard tyres. Let's see it lighting up, absolutely lighting up that tyre under braking. And there goes Timosius. He's in second. He's got Wendigo for company, and Wendigo's only 1.1 second behind him. And Timosius, so Rolly's going to pull in. Timosius will stay out. Wendigo will stay out, although those tyres are not looking very happy. The tyre wear really coming into play here, particularly for the WRX runners. Those WRX runners must rue that car when thinking about the cost of tyres. And if you had to buy tyres for every single race, you'd never use the WRX, ever. There's Wiggy in 4th. He's on the softs. He's looking to have a bit of a quick stint here. He will probably 4-stop this. Or maybe not. I think if he can hang this out until probably lap 22, 23, he can give himself a long stint on those hard tyres. Arminis just in behind him. Arminis will stay out longer. He's on the softs as well. But he will definitely still have to stop again. Now, Rollis, it'll be interesting to see if he's going to try and go to the end here. He's gone for the mediums and he's fueled the car almost to maximum. Does he feel that he can get 10, 11 laps? 11, we're talking a good 21 minutes of racing. 10, 11 laps out of that, out of those medium tyres. I think he's being incredibly optimistic. But if he can pull out a big gap like he did, if he ends up with a 21-second gap again, it's a lot easier to manage your tyres when people are that far back. Mr. J, he's on the softs. He'll be coming in again around lap 25, 26, 27 for maybe a splash and dash at the end. TJ, he's on the hard tyres, not enough fuel to the end. He will have to stop again. He will be going racing on those soft tyres at the end. So I don't think we've seen the last from him. And we know he's got some pace. He currently still has the fastest lap at a 1:57.5. That Lambo is actually not a bad choice for car here, surprisingly, because it doesn't get picked very often. Audriox in 8th place. Those medium tyres not looking happy. He's going to pit at the end of this lap. Probably pit to the end. Will he jump on the medium or the hard tyres? That's the question. Because those mediums, he's stayed out again, but he will pit at the end of this lap. But struggling to keep it on the road there through that first chicane. Grizz Troopers, he's looking to go to the end also on the medium. So they obviously feel there is 10 or 11 laps left in these medium tyres. Old Man Jay, here he goes. He's into the pits. He's going to go and fuel and tyre to the end of this race. Is he banking on Grizz Troopers in front of him? Now, at the moment, it's 7 seconds is the gap. It's going to be a pit stop. If he can close the gap a little bit on Grizz Troopers, or Grizz Troopers has a little mistake, I think Jay could be looking at getting off the back of this race at the moment. Watch this space, because this shit ain't over. Talking of ain't over, there's Wendigo. And I tell you what is over, the life of that front left tyre. It is dead. It is an X tyre. That tyre is no more. So bye-bye to his tyres, we say. Will he be brave enough? He's got 2 laps of fuel. But is that tyre got 2 laps left in it? For me, I don't think so. I certainly wouldn't be hanging out that tyre this long. I'd be getting rid sharpish. Tomosius is in behind. He's got to pit, actually. His tyres are looking much better. He's got to pit this lap. So what's the ideal for Tomosius here is he can close that 1.7 gap down to maybe a second, maybe 8 tenths, which he doesn't seem to be doing at the moment because he's got Wiggy charging in behind him. And then jump into pits with Wendigo. He wants to see Wendigo go into the pits with him. And we'll see. And then it's just bravery. Who thinks they can hang it out for fuel the longest? There is Wiggy there. He is going to jump into the pits probably around lap 22, 23 and look to go racy at the very end on the soft tyres. So actually, maybe these medium tyres can hang out for those 10 laps. There's Arminis. He is 6 seconds back. He will also have to pit again, but when is the question? But Rollis, this is the guy that we need to watch now, because he didn't quite put on a full tank of fuel, and he put on the medium tyres and gave himself 11-12 laps to do on them. Does he feel that he can do that with what he has on board? I'm not convinced, looking at the fuel that he's already burned, that he's going to make it to the end. I think there may be a little splashy needed. Unless he can do some Avalon epic style, gas-hating, seal-loving, tree-loving, vegan styly gas non-usage to the end of the race. But he's already up to 3rd. We know Wiggy's got to pit again. We know Arminis has got to pit again, and neither of them have a pit window on Rollis. Rollis has looked good all day. Hasn't got the fastest lap, but he's been consistent and he's been fast, which is what you need. Mr. J right up into 4th place at the moment with a 3-second penalty. So that is going to cost him 6 seconds. The gap back to Wendigo is 15 seconds. Here is my prediction. Wendigo's on the soft tyres. Very brave running those soft to the end from here for me. 15 minutes on soft tyres in these conditions. you've got balls of steel, my friend. Balls of steel. But he's 15 seconds back from Mr. J. He can go racing. He's got enough fuel to get him to the end. Mr. J will have to pit again, and he's got to serve a 3-second penalty. That is a disaster. That's going to cost him 6 seconds this lap, then another 30 or 35 seconds when he pits. So he's going to lose a lot of time. That's going to cost him Wendigo, Timosius, TJ, possibly not Gridstrip. Gridstrip is a little bit too far back. So I think he's going to be looking at dropping out in front of Grid Troopers in 7th place, sorry. Aldriox, he's pit till the end. Grid Troopers, he has pit till the end. Old Man J also is going to the end. He's just being lapped by the charge of Wendigo. And that gap, 15 seconds. But we're about to see Mr. J serve that penalty. What's the difference here? Well, he served the penalty and the gap hasn't come down, which suggests to me that Wendigo wasn't actually, or didn't have such a great lap. Oh no, here we go. It is starting to tumble now. There we go. It is tumbling down. So, yeah, not quite 6 seconds, 5 seconds. But he's into the Parabolica. He has... Well, Wiggy's in the pits, and Mr. J is through into 3rd. So Wiggy, there he goes. That's what he's doing to the end. Half a tank of fuel and the soft tyres. Will that be enough to bring him to the end? Can he make it? I think it's touch and go on fuel. But if we know Wiggy, we know that he is guts or glory. He will race that car with the fuel he's got, and he will stick absolutely to his strategy. He won't come in again. He'll run that to the end, and if he has to push the car across the line, he will. He's 8 seconds back from Mr. J. Mr. J will pit again. That will promote Wiggy. Wendigo, he doesn't need to pit, although he's been very brave with going on the soft tyres for that length of time, I think. We'll see. We'll see how well that works out. The fact he's got more fuel on board, if he can keep the tyres good on that WRX, then maybe, just maybe, Wiggy will be looking in his mirrors. So Arminis, the current leader, he will come into the pits. What are we now? Lap 23. Lap 24, Arminis will come in for his final splash and dash pit stop. Remember, we're looking at 30, maybe 31 laps. The pace has slowed somewhat from the first stint. So what are we looking at? We've got 46, 47 minutes, 2 minutes a lap. So 6, 7 laps. Yeah, lap 30. I'm sticking to it, lap 30. Just where the pace dropped off, dropped it from 30 to 32, 32 to 30 for me. So Arminis will come in. Will he come in now? He's gone quite hard on the fuel here. No, he's going out there. He ignores that pit lane and goes for my strategy of going in lap 24. But that will promote Rollies. Rollies at the moment looking comfortable. And actually, the tyres not burning out as quickly as I thought they might. He's still got to do 6 full laps on those tyres. As we see Mr. J pitting from 3rd. So we will see Wiggy as he comes round the Parabolica into that straight. He will go up into 3rd place. Wendigo, here he goes into 4th. He's 1.8 seconds behind Wiggy. As Timosius coming through, there he is. Timosius is just coming through now. Mr. J still in those pits. Is he going to come out? He's still there. So Timosius is through. He's 6.5 behind Wendigo. Where's TJ? Is TJ close enough? Is Mr. J? Mr. J gets in the pits now. Where is TJ? There is TJ. This is going to be a drag race. Is TJ up to speed? We know he is. He is through on Mr. J. Mr. J's still got to get out of that pit lane up to speed. He can't cross the line yet. There we go. So TJ does get through. The gap is 1.8 seconds. Mr. J on those softs. And he is chasing down that Lamborghini. But we know that TJ, that Lamborghini, has been chucking out some absolutely fabulous times. And he is going racing. Little bit ropey on fuel, but the tyres are there for him for the taking. Grizz Troopers, he has got Arminis. Arminis is pitting this lap, coming up behind him. Don't think Arminis is going to get the chance to make that overtake, because he will be pulling into the pits this lap to allow Rollies and Wiggy through into the final charge in this final stint of the Black Flag Bullshit Round 7 here at Monza on Black Flag Racing TV. Aldriox, 9th place, 8 seconds back. He's on the mediums. Grizz is on the mediums. Their lap times are very similar. It's going to be an awful lot of work to make up those 8 seconds. And as for old man Jay, just not worked out for him today. 57.5 seconds back. He's had a couple of really bad laps, and to me, looks like he's had a few little frills and spills. So there we go. Rollins goes into the lead. Arminis in the pits. Here goes Wiggy. He goes through. Now let's look at where Arminis comes out, because Wiggy is just coming through now. What's that gap to Rollins? It's 17 seconds. He's got an awful lot of work to do if he wants to take that place. Wendigo's through, and he's got to look at Wendigo in his mirrors. Arminis, is he out yet? Here we go. Arminis in that pit lane, just trying to get up to speed. Timosius at full speed. He's not close enough. Timosius not going to take the top 4 spot here. He's going to have to do it on the racetrack. Arminis got the fuel on board. He's got those new soft tyres. Timosius up to speed. His tyres are warm enough. He's closing down that gap if he can. TJ, he is trying to close down as well. I think his problem is going to be fuel. He's going to need to fuel save like an absolute demon, and that could play into the hands of Mr. J. Mr. J only 3 seconds back. He's not going to worry about fuel. He can put the hammer down in that GTR and start to put pressure on the back of the Lamborghini. Grid Troopers 1 minute behind. Aldrich closing the gap a little bit, but for me, not enough to make a difference here. So Rollins 16 seconds clear. He's been a very consistent performer. That GTR has been a very, very kind car to him today. Really getting some good performance out of it. There is Wiggy in second place, 16 seconds behind. He's got Wendigo in his mirror. He's in that Lithuanian sandwich with Wales as the filling today. But Wendigo, has he got enough in that WRX? Considering that those tyres wear very quickly, has he got enough to close up on the back of Wiggy? He's certainly got the pace, but I'm not sure the tyres are going to be kind enough to him to allow him to push as hard as he would like to. But does that also play into Arminis' hands? Arminis has very, very fresh tyres. He's got less fuel on board, but at this stage, half a tank of fuel, that's not an issue. There are 5 laps remaining. Arminis has got 3 seconds to make up. He has been lapping consistently. 58.3, 58.4, 58.7. Wendigo, 58.7, 58.7, 58.7. That is consistency personified. That is absolutely nailing every apex, every breakpoint, identical every lap. Consistent pace. Wiggy, he's chucking out 58.7, 58.4s. He's done a 58.0, which is the closest I think to TJ's 57.5, which is a phenomenal race lap time in that Lambo. But that, maybe just the fuel he burnt on that lap alone, is going to come back and bite him in the arse, because he's got to do 4 laps on a quarter of a tank of fuel. And I imagine right now he is looking at that fuel map and thinking, shit, I can't turn it down to 7. I think he's going to be under some pressure from Mr. J, because he's got his tyres are starting to go off. His fuel is not enough. Mr. J might be in that WRX, but he hasn't taken enough out. Sorry, he's not in the WRX. He's in the GTR. And we've already seen from Rollins what that GTR is capable of around here. Wiggy, he is closing the gap on Rollins. Rollins with a 59.2, 59.6 and a 2 minute to Wiggy's 58.4. So Wiggy is looking to take chunks out and hope that Rollins makes a mistake. Not quite sure that with essentially 3 laps remaining. What are we, 54 minutes probably by the time he's crossed the line, there or thereabouts. So yeah, I think we're looking at potentially lap 31 for these front 2. So we look here, he's going across these, there is potentially lap 31 for these guys. TJ's hoping he doesn't have to go that far. He's already worried about getting to lap 30. Big slide, big slide. That's not what you want to be doing to your tyres at this stage of the race. But absolutely drifting the shit out of that Lambo round the Parabolica. Beautiful for the cameras, not so great for your tyres. So Rollins, the gap is down to 12.7 seconds. He doesn't have to look in his mirrors yet, but he may well start looking in them at lap 30, lap 31, unless he can just increase that pace. Now he's starting to struggle fuel wise. I said that he might struggle a bit. There should be enough fuel to get in there. Those tyres though, I'm not sure if they're going to be giving him the grip that he wants at this stage of the race when the guy behind you is on that kind of charge. And he's just pulled out 57.4 and the fastest lap of the race. So that Corvette had a lot more pace in it than initially we saw. Maybe he could have overfueled, and if he'd been chucking out laps like that early doors, I think Rollis should be worried. Can he do it though? It depends how long he can get those tyres to hold out. Wendigo's looking at the back of the car and thinking, I've just put in my fastest lap of the race at 58.3 and I can't catch this guy. What can I do? And then he looks at the state of his tyres and realises that there is absolutely nothing he can do. He just has to hope excuse me, he just has to hope that one of those guys ahead of him has a problem, has a smash, spins the car off, because unfortunately for Wendigo, I don't think he's got enough to challenge Wiggy or Rollis. But that said, a top 3 finish on what's been a very close race. Absolutely fantastic performance. And considering as well that I counted him out of this race when he stopped on lap 3, I thought it was an absolutely ridiculous idea. But I'll tell you what, Wendigo, I will eat my hat because you were absolutely spot on. That tactic has worked out very well for you, and you now find yourself in the top 3. Tyres looking ropey. You've got 2 laps remaining on them. Can you hold them out? Or maybe 3 laps actually. Can you hold them out there? Tomosis, he's behind, he's got loads more fuel. Very similar situation with tyres. It's just these soft tyres, once they go off, the grip just isn't there. You can't punish the car into the corners around here that you'd like to. He's still chucking out decent lap times, don't get me wrong. But you can just start to see, as those tyres go off, those lap times will creep off and the spins might creep in. Arminis is putting everything into that WRX, looking for some sort of mistake, some error from Tomosis out front right now. But also, knowing that behind him, he's got TJ. Well, I'll say that, he knows he's got TJ behind him, but we all know that TJ's not making it to the end. He's going to have to put fuel in. Fuel saving hasn't been enough. He's got no choice. He has to put fuel into this car. He will run out of fuel and be plumb last on this racetrack if he doesn't stop now. And when he stops, he will be behind Mr. J. If Mr. J doesn't make the overtake on him before then, he will probably get out in front of Chris Troopers. His only hope not to finish last is to pit this lap for me. And if he's not listening and or he's not paying attention to his fuel, or he's if he's got balls of steel, he'll hang it out there and see what he can do. But I'm telling you now, he's going to run out of fuel and he's going to finish further back than 7th. For me, go into the pits now and put in that fuel. Mr. J's getting you. There's nothing you can do about it. Mr. J is getting you. He doesn't go in. He stays out. And we are going to see TJ run out of fuel and not finish this race. Or actually, he might. Do you know what? I think the saving grace here, here's going to be TJ's saving grace. He won't beat Mr. J. He might take the overtake here, but he's not going to hold the 6th place. They touch. Mr. J goes through. Mr. J had the corner. TJ hasn't got the fuel to fight this, and really shouldn't be trying. I think even if he does run out, I think he might be all right now. All he has to do is just let that clock wind down and finish on lap 29. If he crosses that line to lap 30, he is screwed. Absolutely screwed, because he'll lose out to Grizz, he'll lose out to Aldrox, and he may even lose out to Old Man J. Aldrox serving a 1.5 second penalty. You would have thought you would have learned track limits by now, this deep into this race. So there we go, Rollis is coming round. Lap 29 completed. He will go into lap 30, so we're not going to have a dramatic lap 31 finish. What we are going to have, though, actually, Wiggy, has he got the fuel to go on? in that push for Rollins, he might have the same problem that we've seen with TJ. He might have a problem of not making it to the end of this race with that fuel left. Wendigo closing that gap. He's got no tyres, but he has got the fuel. So Wiggy's got the tyres, Wendigo's got the fuel. Who is going to win out here? Tyres or fuel? If Wiggy runs out, there's nothing he can do unless Wendigo does a Paul Walker and absolutely wraps that car around a tree. And he will have to fully wrap it for Wiggy to survive if he runs out of fuel. So Wiggy will fuel map sick this to the end. Wendigo looking to breeze past, under braking, doesn't quite make it. Don't know if Wendigo knows, but what Wendigo does know is he doesn't have the tyres to be making crazy lunges. Does this play into Mosius's hands? Because we know Wiggy might run out of fuel. And we certainly know he's going to go slow. Now, we've got Wendigo pushing. Wendigo's on very dodgy time. There you go, TJ. Had to go in. He couldn't hang it out there any longer. Where does that seem good? I don't think Grid Troopers is close enough to catch him. But he did the right thing going into the pits when he did. Oh no, but he finishes the race. He's very, very lucky there for the race to finish. So he finishes in 7th place. Now, Wendigo is around Wiggy, but his tyres are in big, big trouble. If just one error here on lap 30, which is the final lap, and we could see a big, big change. We could see Timosius nicking a top 3 spot. In fact, we could see that anyway if Wiggy can't make it to the end on that fuel. Timosius on a charge. Again, though, dodgy tyres. Arminis on a charge, but not enough fuel. So the different strategies playing out very differently at the end of this race. But here we go. We go with Rollins. And we haven't actually done an on-board this entire race, have we? Not going to do it now. Here we go. So Rollins goes round the parabolica for the last time. Lap 30 at Monza. On that power. He started at the front. He led a lot of this race. He finishes at the front. And there he goes. And he is through. And for some reason, the whole race has ended at that point. That's because I don't think Jay upped the time on the race finish. But there we go. Race over. So it'd be Wendigo was 2nd, Wiggy 3rd, Timosius 4th. Trying to remember now who was where. Let's save the replay. Well, look, guys, you saw who was where. So let's have a quick look. Event settings. Yeah, race finish delay 60 seconds. That's the problem because as soon as Grid Troopers finished, not Grid Troopers, TJ finished, that started that 60-second clock, which meant as soon as he went across the line, it was all over. So there we go. That is it. Absolutely brilliant race. How do we have? 4, 5 different leaders? Certainly 5 or 6, 7 different people in that top 3. Some great racing. TJ just under fueling and getting that wrong. Wendigo proving me absolutely wrong. I said when he went in on lap 3, I called it as the worst tactical decision since Ferrari. But it turned out, actually, he is the opposite of Ferrari and a tactical fucking genius because he took 2nd place. What a brilliant, brilliant performance from him. But the man of the hour, Rollins, in 5th place. So there we go. We're all over. We're at the end of round 7 of BFB. It is all done. And that is it now for the streams now until... no, I'm racing tomorrow. I'm not streaming tomorrow. I quite enjoy racing on a Sunday. So, screw you lot. I'm not streaming it. The next time you will see me will be on Wednesday for GRB. There is going to be a few changes to some of the races. We are dropping the Garage Showcase on Tuesdays because the interest isn't there. There's a few of us that really enjoy it, but 4 or 5 people are racing this isn't working. It's because you guys are very, very fussy. You buy a game with 400 cars in it and you drive 5. But, you know, it is what it is. We give the people what they want. So, there we go. It's all over. That has been a really good race. I actually really enjoyed that. Would have been nice with a few more people on board. But we're back to GR3 next week in the BFB. And what else we've got coming up? So, Wednesday we've got the GRB. We move into round 5. And that, remember, has now been extended for 10 rounds. So what was initially a 5-round series has been extended to 10 rounds, and we will post up the new tracks will go up over the weekend. You'll also see some big changes to the Discord. I am streamlining it down to its bare bones. It's far too cluttered, far too much information. All events will be at the top of the very top of the menu. You click on it, click interested, and then you can come and join us for racing. GRB Wednesday. Thursday we've got European GR3, and we are in Germany, and there's a lot of German cars, so lots of doubly bubbly points on offer. So that is going to be an absolute bloodbath, I think, with the double points available. And then we've got Friday, which will be the McGann Trophy. I don't know if I'll stream it yet. It depends how I feel. They'll either be streamed or I'll race in it. I did race in it this week. I did quite well. And then obviously next Saturday back to BFB. But watch this space for more new things. Please subscribe, because if you don't, you won't get any of the nice, juicy, exclusive content for subscribers that I will be adding in very soon. But that's really it. All I can say is thanks for joining me. I have been Pirate. This has been Black Flag E-Racing with the Black Flag Bullshit Saturday tournament. And it's been emotional. See you very soon.
Come in here with your hot, greasy bags and tease me.
Oh, that stands. Oh, how it lingers. I never said that you were the best damn thing on your bed. Now what you paying for, and I
squeezy backs and tease me.
Oh, that